Hey guys, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, March 21st, 2017. This is Jennifer. I am outside with my X-Files quilt, I want to believe. You guys that have followed me for a while know that this was the event that I ran on Fandom and Stitches last year, and I finished the quilt top just maybe a month or so before I had foot surgery last year, so it went on the pile to be quilted. I am extraordinarily happy to tell you that it is done, it is bound, it is labeled, it's ready to be washed and used. I have promised it to my husband as a lap quilt because as soon as he saw the design, he was like, can you do that in like blues and grays? Because I really would like to have that quilt. And so I did it with him in mind, and this was designed during an epic rewatch of the original X-Files series before the reboot series that came out in January of last year. We spent 3 or 4 months just watching all of the original X-Files. We watched all the movies, we watched the bad stuff and the good stuff, we watched everything. During that time I was sketching out and figuring out what to include in this quilt. There are actually a number of other designs that I included and that other designers did for the design invitational. I kind of stayed bare bones with mine. I tried to do main characters and main recurring characters. I had a great time with this. It's entirely made out of batiks. Even the white is batik. It was super fun to make. As you can tell, I'm delighted to have it finished. I had a lot of fun quilting it. And one of the things I really want to say about that is last week I told you that I had quilted 3 things in the last couple weeks, and this was one of them. The other one was Jules's X-Files quilt. Jules was my pattern tester for this event, and I had told her when she agreed to pattern test for me that I would quilt it for her. She sent it to me with another quilt that I'll tell you about in just a second, and I don't think she or I, either one, expected me to get it turned around in a week and sent back to her, but I did. And I quilted hers almost identical to mine. The primary difference was I forgot to do one thing on mine that I did on hers, but I'm totally happy with it. I did want to share that I wasn't sure how to quilt this one, and then we took a family trip in December, January, and on my tablet I opened this picture, I saved it, and I opened it in a sketch software, and I used a stylus and I just doodled all over it, and it took me probably 20 different times to figure out what I wanted to do on it, and I used that as a cheat sheet so that I knew exactly how I was going to quilt this before I ever started working on it, and I am going to do that from now on. That was the best decision that I could have made. I was much more confident while I was quilting because I wasn't guessing what I was going to do next. I did way more than meander. There is a lot of meander in this, but there was meandering, and then I did the bars like I showed you guys, some other things. Because I had sketched it out before, I knew what I wanted to do when I got to whatever section I was working on. I am not going to show Jules's quilt because she'll show it in her video. I will put a link in the description to find her. If I forget, she's Jules68 on TTMT. She has a purple version of this quilt that is just to die for. She has even more blocks on hers because she did some stenciling and stuff on hers, which is really cool. But her purple batiks were delicious. They were wonderful to work on, and I found a purple thread that was just perfect to quilt her quilt with. I also made both of the labels for her quilt and for my quilt, and I made them not exactly the same, but very close. I made the X-Files signature quilt block. As you guys know, when I run an event, I will collect signature blocks from participants, and so I made that quilt block, and it was the first time I had pieced in embroidery from my embroidery machine, and so that was a little trial and error, and I did actually have to piece a little bit here and there to make the pieces big enough because I cut them the wrong size, and just, it was crazy, but I did learn a lot from that, and it was a really fun way to make a label. I will show you that at the end of the video. I'll do like an all over front and back of the quilt. Other quilt that I mentioned last week that I couldn't tell you about last week was a quilt that the Talk to Me Tuesday group did for Laura. I did a video before mailing the quilt to Laura. I quilted it and bound it and put the label on it, and I did a video of that, and I'm going to insert that here so you guys can actually hear me talk about the quilt while the quilt is behind me. Hey guys, I'm sitting outside in what is threatening to be rain so I can share Laura's quilt with you. I would love to take full responsibility for this, but I did not make this gorgeous quilt. It was made as a group effort between a bunch of Talk to Me Tuesdayers for our fellow TTMTer Laura. I have a little cheat sheet so I can tell you who made everything. Embroidered Star Trek blocks, Hobbit Dory block, and a Star Trek insignia were made by Rainey. Susan made the TARDIS, the Dalek, and she provided the back fabric. Amber made the White Tree of Gondor and the One Ring block. Crystal made the Sixth Doctor embroidered block, a Sixth Doctor embroidered quote block. Vanda made the Leia and the BB-8 blocks. Jules made the painted Tolkien quotes. She provided all the filler fabric and she pieced the top. This whole thing was organized by Jules. She asked me if I would quilt it and bind it when she finished putting it together. So she organized everything and she got everyone to send her blocks, and then she pieced this lovely quilt top. She put it together by rows. So like the top row, this is Lord of the Rings, then we have a Doctor Who row, and there's some awesome Wonder Woman fabric here, and then we have some Star Trek stuff, and it's starting to rain on my head, and then we have a Star Wars row. I did all the quilting and the binding, and I made a label for it, which I will show you after this. I'm going to send you guys back to the future. Just really quick before I go, I do want to say that I really hope Laura can feel all the love in this quilt. This was just made as a little extra token of our love because sometimes we just need that. So Laura has that quilt now. She knows that I recorded a little video. I wanted just to make sure that I shared a little bit about that so that she could hear from us like directly what this quilt was all about. Laura, I hope you're getting lots of awesome snuggles out of that quilt. It was fun to get to quilt it. It was fun to be part of the project, and just know that we all love you. And Talk to Me Tuesday has been one of the best parts of my life for a really long time now, and I love my Talk to Me Tuesday family. It was just a joy to get to work on. I did end up finishing the Star Wars fleece, and I got that turned in to Linus on Saturday. Also, I want to say a huge thank you to Suzanne and the other ladies who helped fold the Linus brochures. They cranked out all 500 of those brochures and got them all done, and I could not be more thankful that they did that and that I didn't have to. They were on it and they got them done in no time. I'm thinking for next month's Linus, I'm probably going to quilt the quilt tops that I made previously when I sewed at Linda's house. I'm not sure when though, because I need to take my Juki in this week for a spa visit, and that is the machine that lives on my quilt frame, so it definitely needs a spa visit. I have quilted, I don't know how many quilts on it since I put it on the frame, and I've had it for almost 2 years and it's never been serviced. I do maintain my own machines, but it really does need to go in and have some TLC. I think there might be something caught in one of the tension discs, and I can't get to it, and it's just like it's totally time. So I'm gonna drop that off tomorrow. So hopefully it won't be gone for too long, and I can get back to quilting. I did finish the door knocker I was working on for the labyrinth quilt, but it is inside the house, so I'll show it to you next week. I have plenty for this week, so we'll look at it next week. Don't forget, speaking of that the next installment of the Goblin King is tomorrow, and Free Pattern Friday is on Friday. I hope you enjoyed last Friday's Free Pattern Friday. It was You Are My Sunshine, which was just a little sunshine block that I designed many years ago. It's actually had a couple of different names over the years because I couldn't decide on a name until, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I renamed it and left it. I finally just left it. Monday is the next installment of Paper Piecing Vintage. Also a big shout out to Cynthia, Susan, and Vanda, and everyone else that's working on Paper Piecing Vintage. You guys are just rocking my world with all the work that you're doing. And of course, as always, giant love to Amber, who's my pattern tester in all things except for the X-Files because it's too creepy for Amber, which is totally cool because Jules loved it and I loved it and we had a good time with it. I want to thank my daughter for letting me borrow her hats. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.